Hi! I'm wearing this shirt because it's mid-December and 'tis the season for jolliness and a lot of holiday blessings, but it's also the season for colds. Oh yes, and in fact I have had one since middle of the night on Friday, and it hasn't been a super serious one, but it all settled, of course, in my throat and my sinuses. So having been a joyful participant of sinus surgery in the past, I've had a sinuplasty and debridement, like I discovered at the time. Hundreds of other people have had. I learned a lot about the sinuses, and one of those things that I learned is that the sinuses have a lot of folds in there, and that is one of the reasons why so much stuff can get gunked up and impacted in there. Well, my sinuses were extraordinarily impacted after a long time of using, well, you know what, that's a whole nother story. Not using anything illegal, just using antibiotics since my 20s, so for a couple of decades, and not ever taking care of my gut health, not really knowing much about gut health. And so the surgery came along at a time when I had finally started working with a nutritionist to clear out my gut and clean it out and get it healthy and healed. So since then, it's been, wow, 2 years. I have hardly been sick. Let's say, I mean, I was sick a lot. My husband looked at me one day and said, "You're the sickest person I've ever met." I was literally sick 6 months out of the year, easily. And the other 6 months of the year, I may not have been sick, but I was never breathing fully. It turned out that my sinuses were really impacted. It was pretty gross. Well, and that is after years of using a neti pot and using Neal Med's sinus wash, all kinds of things. So, and some other gadgets and gizmos just to try to get some clearness and all that stuff in my sinuses. So you learn a lot over time. Sometimes, you know, it takes longer than others to learn important life lessons. And this one just took me, decades to learn. So I don't want you to have to take that long to learn things. If this tip can help you, hallelujah, okay? I will be really happy if it helps you. So we all find our ways of, you know, doing the stuff that you don't want anybody else to see, and you don't want anybody else to hear either. They're not pretty, but they're part of life. So one of the routines that I have settled into since my sinus surgery and since getting the process, it was a long process of getting my gut healed. It probably took about a year. So, because if you have a lifetime of habits and antibiotic use, I mean, I was using antibiotic rounds 4 to 6 times a year. That's a lot, people. If you're using antibiotics that often like I was, you need to stop and you need to get help from a nutritionist like yesterday, like last year. So anyways, you find these routines and things that work for you. Once my sinuses were clear and once my gut was healed, I began to find new routines to help me keep everything clear. One thing is sticking with what the nutritionist taught me about clean eating and stuff like that. Another thing is sleep. When you get sick, don't try to just medicate with antibiotics. You are killing all the good bacteria along with the bad bacteria, and you need the good bacteria down there. So don't just go straight to the antibiotics, folks. The thing that you need to go straight to is sleep. You need to go straight to sleep and eating things that are going to help clean out your system. A nutritionist can help you with that. I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a doctor, I am just a vocalist who's suffered from 3 decades of continually increasing sinus issues, throat issues, and then it turned into bronchial issues. So one time I literally was sick for 6 months straight, and that was just one portion of the year. So now let me show you one of the things that I figured out over the course of time. It works for me. I invite you to try it at home. It may or may not work for you, okay? Results not guaranteed. Depends upon your state of health and the clearness of your sinuses and all kinds of stuff. But if you find that you are dealing with postnasal drip, with allergies, with sinus infections, any of those kinds of things that involve the sinuses, this tip can really help you. Now, this is what I'm going to show you is a way I've found of quickly rinsing my sinuses out without having to use the sinus rinse kit or my neti pot. This is a quicker way to do it, and I've kind of settled into this as a daily routine thing. It's a little bit more expensive to do it this way, but I have found that I just have to do what works for me. And keeps me moving along with my sinuses and keeps me doing it every single day, right? So no matter what it is in life, whether it's exercise, whether it's eating right, whether it's your vocal practice, you need to find what works for you so that you will do it every single day. It has to be workable. So I found this to be workable. Now, what I'm going to show you is Neal Med. That's the brand that I mentioned earlier. They have a whole sinus wash kit and system. They have this, there are a number of saline sprays out there on the market. There's Arm & Hammer, and there's another 1 or 2. I've ordered them from Amazon. I bought them from Costco. This is my favorite. There is something about the design of the tip. Get it up there so you can see that there's something about it that, there you go, that's clearer, that sprays better. I don't know what it is about the little nozzle. I don't know, but this is the one I like the best. It sprays the most at one time and gives the most coverage for getting both the immediate interior nasal, the membranes and stuff covered with some saline, but also getting plenty back in the rest of my sinuses. Okay, so now that is what I want to talk to you about today, because not like every single nasal rinse you'll find says something like this: intended use to moisturize and lubricate dry nasal passages for babies, children, and adults. Directions: insert tip of the actuator into nostril and press gently until adequate volume has been sprayed and the nasal passages are moist. Repeat for the other nostril. Okay, now that's all well and good, and you can do that if you are, you are just having dry nostrils. Okay, but that's not the use that I'm going to show you today. My intended use has a lot to do with the volume that you are spraying. And the intention is to actually rinse, not simply lubricate the sinuses. Like this is intending, what this says is intending to lubricate the nasal passages. I want to show you how to use it to rinse your sinuses on a daily basis quickly and easily. So now, if you get grossed out easily, just turn this off because it's not attractive, okay? But it's useful. So what I do is I get a Kleenex. I have it ready because, it starts dripping and stuff. I fold it over in half because I'm gonna spray a lot of this. My intention is not to leave it in my sinus passages, although there will be a lot of residual in there doing its work, healing, clearing out. The saline actually gets in there and doesn't melt. It dissolves mucus And so that's one reason why saline and not just purified water or something like that. Please, my husband will use his neti pot with water out of the tap. I don't do that. I always use distilled water for that. This uses distilled water is inherently purified. This is sterile, preservative-free, pH balanced, and buffered. So, anyways, I do not use tap water. I used to use tap water a long time ago. Maybe that's part of what my problem turned out to be. I don't think so, though. I think the problem was all the antibiotics and not knowing anything about probiotics. So, or about good health, gut health and stuff like that. Okay, so we're gonna use it, I'm gonna use it, you can if you want to rinse my sinuses. So I'm gonna take the actuator and insert it just like it says in the instructions. I'm gonna tell you what I'm gonna do, then I'm gonna do it because it's a little hard to talk while you're going through this process. So I'm going to spray it. As I spray, I'm gonna spray it for a little bit, like 4 seconds or so. That's a little bit when you're talking about this spraying at the rate it is. Here's what it looks like. Okay, hopefully you can see that a little bit. Let me refocus on myself. Here we go. Let me show you that again. Okay, so you can see the little, whoo, it's a mist. There you go, that was for you. These aren't cheap. So, all right, so I'm gonna put the actuator in my nose and I'm going to hold it. I'm gonna press I guess this is the actuator. Put the nozzle in my nose, press down the actuator and start slowly tilting my head back as I gently breathe in. Okay, I'm not sniffing and snorting, I'm just breathing in so that it will flow back into my sinuses. I'm gonna do it on both sides at one time because I wanna load it up with this stuff in there, and then once I get that done, I wipe the tip off and I set it down, and I am going to bend over, okay, and let's see, I'm gonna bend over, and as I'm really literally gonna hang upside down, I want to make sure that you can see me pretty well. Or this is the real deal. Turn on another light. And turn on this light. My office has, I try to keep it kind of subdued lighting in here. So I'm going to bend over and literally let my head hang. Okay, so you feel the rinse kind of dripping into the top portion of your sinuses because there are several areas. Then I'm going to take my Kleenex and while I'm upside down, I hold it there, I've got it doubled up, and I'm upside down, and I'm going to turn my head to the right so that there's a flow with gravity of the rinse to the left side of my head and sinuses. Blow a couple of times, and I'm not talking like the ear splitting where you're popping your eardrums. Just blow, gentle but firmly, okay? Blow, blow. And I'm gonna turn the other way so that there's a flow this way. Blow, blow, okay? Then I go to the middle, and remember this is all hanging upside down. Then I'm gonna blow, blow in the middle. Then I'm gonna come halfway up, like this. So the first time, I'm like this, and I'm side, side, middle. Then I'm about, not 90 degrees, but a little over 90 degrees from my legs to my torso. Gonna do the same thing. Gonna blow left, blow right, blow middle, then I finally stand up and blow. So I'll do it for you. So exciting. This is love, people. This is love. Showing you the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here we go. Okay, so watch how I do this. I've already done it twice today, so there's a little bit of just, if you do it too much, you can actually irritate the membrane, so that was probably, I didn't need to do it that many times today. I just did the third time today so I could record it for you. But I hope that that helps you. I sincerely do. Of course, throw the tissue away somewhere where your dog won't get it out of the trash can. Just saying. So, not that that's happened here. Purely hypothetical, I assure you. But I do hope that helps you. And if you can't, this is definitely the priciest version on the market. I like it the best. But there are other, you know, a little less expensive brands like the Arm & Hammer and the others, and go to Costco and get the 3-pack. And use this in combination with good nutritional practices, good gut health, and sleep to help yourself get well and stay well, not only this winter season, but all year round.